Interestingly enough, we'll see if these pop up here, but like I said, I think the Ling is going to be in contention for both these teams, as now we jump into the draft here for game number 1 in this best of 3 between Vietnam and Indonesia. Again, for you guys joining us just now while we wait for the draft here, check out the official website for the updated standings and brackets at iesf.gg. And you guys can get a peek at what's been going on. These two teams both swept their opponents in the previous off-stream games, and they're sitting at 1-1 in the standings. So they both have tied points. Now they need to pull through ahead. And interesting, as we were talking about it, there's the chip. It's going to be banned out by Indonesia first.
All right, so they're going to be respected here, and it seems, it makes sense this time around. With the chip ban, because of the fairness ban, Vietnam really wanted to set up for that chip, really wanted to set up for the early ganks and to try to take away the maybe second HP bar that you can get with the Nether Realm. They go straight for the fairness ban. That's already very, very unique of a start, right? We don't really see a lot of fairness first ban. We usually see that for a lot of different heroes, but not the fairness. Maybe even the Roger at this point of the game, right? We've been talking about how Roger has been super prio because he's been able to be used as a flex pick into jungle, into gold, and it works in both lanes really, really well. Both roles really, really well. But it seems, again, for Indonesia, it's still going to be the same bans. Chip and Harith. They're still prioritizing that Harith ban over some of the others like the Roger as well. Meanwhile, for Vietnam, this is what we've come to expect really on the blue side. On blue side, you get so much more room to actually go for respect bans over the prio bans because red side's automatically going to be the one forced to go for the red for the prio bans because of that first pick. And that's why I think across all the different regions, blue side has been getting way more successful, right? They've been getting so much more value in the meta game, and it seems it is going to be the Angela as well. Finally, we get to see a prio ban from the side of Vietnam, but I guess it's a bit of respect as well for Indonesia. They could just go for the Angeling combo if Vietnam leave it open and go for a different first pick. But now for Indonesia, the big question is that Lo Yi still super prio? Or will they go for the Roger? And it is going to be the Roger. That's the adjustment made by Indonesia. The Roger that kind of terrorized them as well yesterday, all the way in the early phase of the game. Even in the jungle, I think it was, yeah, it was Skies on the Roger, right, yesterday. And then it was Loliel on the Moskov.
Where there is light, there are also shadows.
So interestingly enough that they go this way and they make it work. So Lo Yi's locked in.
Lo Yi does get locked in here by Vietnam. Still a first pick prio despite, all of our doubts that we were talking about earlier, that we raised earlier about the Lo Yi, how limited you are to make those kind of like feints happen. Back in the day, very easy to do those feints, just pop in a diversion, make them think that you're going to be rotating back and then maybe look for a different angle of attack, or even just utilizing it to clear waves like we saw usually, right, with the Claude. You get a Claude and the Lo Yi, you should be able to clear out these waves together with that Lo Yi, but it's going to be the Ling and the Farsa. There you go, Indonesia finding a little bit of confidence to pull off that Ling. But it does give Vietnam an opportunity now to go for maybe even a Baxia, to try to stop the Ling from snowballing all the way from the start. Maybe if they want to go for additional CC, the Fredrin could still work. I'm not a big fan of the Temporal Rain, though, still. Even though, now it makes sense, why you would go for the Temporal Rain and get the cooldown on top of the taunt. Me and Arashi, we kind of agree that for Fredrin, at least, it's still the 3 best picks on the emblems, at least for Fredrin, has got to be the Impure Rage, the Concussive Blast, or the Brave Smite. Either one of those 3. And it is going to be the Claude and the Fredrin locked in, that combo that we've been talking about with the Lo Yi. You can go for the clears, but it works a bit differently now. You do that and you're open to a lot of attacks, and you technically have a time restraint as to how long you can't make creative plays happen.
I like the, this is almost going back to pretty much what we had before, like meta-wise, Claude, Fredrin, Lo Yi locked in from Vietnam. I'm wondering if there's going to be that much of a change, though, for the last 2 picks. But you can see that Terizla locked in. So I'm assuming Indonesia might want to go ahead and ban out the Yuzhong, at least to force a different pick in the XP lane to deal with this Terizla. Also, another hero we've seen pop up constantly and do really well is the export, Mirko. So, you know, that might be an option too, because main thing here is really allowing this Ling to shine. Like I said, in their matches off stream, Albert obviously loved playing it. They had a very quick game. We're talking about 10 and a half minute game when he played the Ling against Laos. So, you know, with that, I want to see how they kind of complement it. They already have a ton of damage with the Farsa too. Great lockdown with the penalty zone. And it looks like they're going to go ahead and lock down the R-Lot, not being able to be picked up. So we'll see if that is going to be another XP lane ban, or possibly even roam, because right now you still have to see where that wants to fit in. Looks like a Nathan ban, late game potential security there. So this also might mean Indonesia wants to pick up possibly, I'm wondering if they go Brody. That was the other hero they picked up in their game against Laos. They picked up Brody. You mentioned you were a fan of it currently in the meta. Look at this Masha. Here's the Masha ban. So interesting last bans. XP lane for Vietnam. I'm almost just assuming, like I said, the Yuzhong does get picked up, but they'll probably go for one more gold lane ban. I'm wondering if they actually want to go and ban out the Brody. I'm not sure if it's worth the ban, but it's definitely a solid pick.
I think the safer choice might just be to go for a roam ban here. I'm not too sure what roamer, though, would actually fit in for Indonesia, right? Maybe Minotaur could be a good option as well to go for the neutral objective contest, but they end up going for the Moscow ban. That was a big pick that we saw picked up instantly in that Indonesia versus Malaysia match yesterday in the first phase, even with the Roger for Malaysia. So not even utilizing the flex pick of the Roger, but going for that. But the Grok will be left open. This is a signature pick for Keyboy. He gets himself on that Grok. And I guess they're really just trying to see if they can actually utilize the Brody in lane, right? Because there's one thing about the Brody, even though it's great with the Sky Piercer and all these new items, that's a glue pickup, by the way, from Vietnam, but if you're up against a lot of CC, if you're up against people who can actually dive you, it'll be very, very hard as a Brody who cannot really utilize the flexible battle spell choice that we are used to seeing from Natan, Moskov, Roger, even the Claude. All the meta gold laners right now, they have an option to actually go for Purify or even Sprint to some of these, like Claude, over the Flicker. So that adds a lot more flexibility to how they can actually play out that hero in lane and in these team fights. And that's something that Brody can't have. So maybe for Indonesia, they're really just trying to see. That's going to be the Kaja as well for Team Vietnam. This is an interesting draft from Vietnam, right? The Loyi Kaja combo as well. So they're going to be very reliant on using a diversion together with the Kaja to get him into different angles. But even then, Indonesia should still be able to read it out in the early game, at least, when the cooldown is still, you know, massive on that diversion. So Indonesia, big decision to make now. Do they want to go for the safe choice, which is probably the carry, or they want to go for that Brody? Go straight for the early game with the snowballing of the Farsa and the Ling. Take the game under their control and start. That's what they go for. That's a Brody.
I was gonna say, man, when you asked, I was gonna say was leaning towards the Brody for the, especially when we saw the glue and the Kaja locked in, because you want to play with the range, like you want to play with that advantage, having that range available to you, and you get that too because honestly, whenever that tempts to blades or wherever Albert goes to set things up, and even the feathered airstrike, like think about how much overloaded damage that is against Vietnam. The Brody should be able to easily just get the shots off, get the marks, and then hopefully, you know, fade away torn apart memory. That's the best part about Brody. It's very very finesse-like. And so for the lineup for Vietnam, they have a great way to kind of cause chaos with diversion alone. But I think this is a huge game for Nart on the Kaja, because if he's able to lock down the right targets, it doesn't have to be Albert, man. Like, it could actually just even be CW or Sands. If he's able to get the lockdowns with the Divine Judgment and they lose one of those major sources of damage, then the extended team fight will be great here for Vietnam. So let's jump into the game here. Game number one. Again, it's a best of 3 between Vietnam and Indonesia, both tied for points currently in the standings. And whichever team will get off to a good start. Oh, Nart. Okay, he's going to be fine, actually. So let's jump into the land of Dawn here. First team to get first blood in the series is going to be off to a good start, securing that slot into the playoffs here as we get a look at both teams starting up. For Zhao on this Fredrin, he's rolling the concussive blast. So he's at least on one of those emblems. Oh, look at this. Focus on the top. So they already BMI's out, but has that concussive blast. I think this is better for this. The interesting that I want to point out, man, is Nart is on concussive blast as well. Usually we see Kajas roll with focusing mark. because it gives that little extra oomph, you know, to get the damage and get these early kills on. So I'm wondering, you know, they just want to kind of push some of the lanes in, have a little bit of that extra damage, I suppose, and tankiness, dealing with the amount of burst damage that's going to be thrown at this lineup from Vietnam. And you can already see it, right? Both teams kind of just getting their rotations down, setting up. It is going to be the Lithwander already taken here by Albert. He's almost level 4. Zhao should be as well. First items, interesting too, fall into place. You can see some of the difference there. Already does go ahead. Oh, hold on. He.
All right, Albert trying to go for the dive here. Goes for the retribution as well, and will be able to pick up first blood in the bottom lane. Good job by Lutpi to give Albert that free way into the kill. Meanwhile, up top, Keyboy's going to be traded down, though. Zhao going to get that kill down, and it is going to be equal on the board in the early game. The XP for the roam. But I would say, if we're talking about the concussive blast, right, I really feel like for Nart, the idea is he wants to match the clear speed of the Grok plus the Farsa in the mid lane, try to give the Loyi a little bit more pressure to play with, and also, as we can see here, just get the better clear against Keyboy.
Yeah. So Turtle's up here. Actually, they're both teams getting in position.
Penalty zone, gonna be able to lock 2 members down. Zhao, though, will be able to get a taunt down onto Albert. Now with the Tempest of Blades, still able to get out, gets the Blades, and will be able to just dash towards the Turtle once again. Nart, no Divine Judgment just yet, still level 3, as that's gonna be Keyboy with the Power of Nature, just holding it down. Wild Charge as well. Albert securing Turtle number 1 for Indonesia. Sans deals a bit of damage to Nart. We'll have to respect Nart here. He's about to get that level 4. It turns out, no, he's actually still quite far.
Yeah, he's got a little more time to go here. You saw that too in that exchange. That CW first item was the Sky Piercer. He picked that up. So definitely want to play around at this first item. Yeah, there it is right there. It does get the level 1 boots as well. So with this, I mean, what we just saw too, Albert being able to go in, get that kill, swoop on out, get the turtle, is good for them because he's sitting on a double kill on a Ling. Like, this is the best case scenario you can be on with a hero like Ling, and we know it's a signature on that. So it's up for Vietnam to kind of stop this from getting out of hand, and that's where Nart comes in at this point. You know, and I think it's going to be a little bit tricky on being able to catch Albert. So it might just be finding the target that you can. Oh, here they go.
Good wild charge on the Nart right into the Defiant Blades, and that's going to be a killing spree that Albert picks up. Now on the signature, Ling jumps in with the Finch Poise onto Fugo with the Tempest of Blades as well. Gets the knock up, and that's the damage coming in from the Feathered Airstrike from Sans in the mid lane to take Fugo down. Indonesia 4-1.
4-1. 3 kills on Albert. He picked up the Berserker's Fury as well, so he's in full snowball material right now, snowball mode. They're already, what, 3,000 gold ahead with that, and so this early portion of the game, 4 minutes in, they're setting their eyes on possibly a quick game. You can see the idea from Vietnam here on the top lane trying to make a play, but Keyboy is going to spot that out perfectly fine, there to help CW in this exchange if it does break out. And that's what I'm saying. It's so hard because for Vietnam, really the play this entire time is just on Nart. There's not much else that they can do, really, if you think about the initiations, because even with Fugo, he has to, once again, decide on where he wants to put that diversion. It is crucial. He's got good, you know, good damage, especially with the passive with Loyi, drops down a rotation, that second skill, but it's still difficult for them, because even that, Yandere needs time on the Claude. You know, in comparison to Brody, he just picks up the Corrosive Scythe for the Claude. And when you're going against a CW here, it's tough to deal with that damage. So now with this turtle up here, Vietnam gets in position once again.
The penalty zone again, lock Joe down. Meanwhile on the back, it's going to be the slam pass on Albert, but he gets the Tempest of Blaze now, goes straight for the turtle, but actually misses out on the retribution, still able to get the last tick in as Lutpi does some damage to the Joe, able to dodge away from the Appraisers. Rat dealing some damage back, and actually taking a kill without actually dying as well here. In the bot side of the map, Lutpi outplaying Zhao and the other 2 members, and it seems for Sans, he's really just going to be staying there in the vicinity. Fugo pops into diversion now with the dispersion as well. Up top, CW getting a lot of those stacks down. Oh, last hit, turn up our memory, and no, the Sky Piercer cannot take him down just yet, but Albert will. Right with the Finch Poise and the Defiant Blade. Fugo going to be caught under the turret with the Feather Airstrike, dodging with the Flicker as Nart walks up together now. Doesn't have the Divine Judgment to really lock anyone down, and Lutpi will just be munching on these stacks from Glue, getting all the sustain he needs, and pushing Hehe back again. He just respawned, he just rotated back towards that bot side of the map, and he's already forced down to so low.
My goodness, what a fight. Albert go in to clean up another kill 5-0-1 already here. Indonesia very dominant.
Again, with attempts to blaze, Nart will not be able to survive that one. And now with the Finch poise, he gets out as well. Yandere trying to go for the blazing duet, but Defender airstrike deals with Fugo with one last shot from CW2. Indonesia on a roll in this match against Vietnam.
Hey man, like I said, it's tough to catch Albert. He's 6-0-2. He did pick up that Sky Piercer just last item, so we didn't get to see it proc for CW, but for Albert, now they have to watch out for both. Vietnam in a very tough situation to be in, because you're just seeing them really struggling because everything is being thrown at them at different directions, and that's the tough part about it. And like you mentioned earlier in that turtle fight, Loopy has been on point with these penalty zones, man. Whether it's with the flicker or not, the combination is there. Yandere,
whoa,
in trouble.
Good prediction too on the battle mirror image there by Suns. Flies in, throws it at the battle mirror image. That's the Suns we know.
Yeah, again, kind of dealing with this whole 360 lineup, I would say, from Indonesia, from Vietnam. Their head has to constantly be on a swivel, trying to find out where Indonesia is coming from. And even with this, they're going to use the diversion. So they find their own placements. Let's see if they can do it.
Nart with the flicker on Divine Judgment, but now cancel out with the wild charge. CW going to be taken down, but they're all going to be stuck in the clump zone. And now the Feather Airstrike deals enough damage with together as Albert and Lutfi swing their hammer. Albert will be able to walk in towards the turtle, getting it down. The Finch poised to re-engage on the Joe, who gets a 3-man taunt, but they're all hitting. They're all taking him down, and his HP bar will not be able to handle that much pressure. Now with one member left standing, running towards the wrong side of the map. It seems for Indonesia, they'll be able to pick up this kill as they say to
so they get him there, and this is just devastating, Mirka. I mean, we're talking 8 minutes in, 10,000 gold ahead for Indonesia, and it looks like Albert just so confident he's gonna go ahead and take this purple away.
Almost getting Fugo, now getting knocked up, so there's a cancel there. Good save by Joe in the bottom lane. Wild charge right into CW with the smooch now, and he doesn't even need to commit a torn apart memory. Just a few basic attacks is enough with the help of that wild charge.
Okay, like I was saying, this is a massive lead right now for Indonesia, and looks like they actually want to just possibly start knocking on these base turrets even before that Lord comes up. It was not a good usage of the diversion. You called it. They used it, they went to the bush in the mid lane, and then they were left to their devices for the rest of the team, and it all just got collapsed on. Like I was saying, man, it's a 360 lineup. You don't know where Indonesia's coming from. So now that they get this Lord here, that could possibly be the Lord. I know it is only the first one, but this could be the Lord that Indonesia uses to end the game early on. We saw both these teams go for 10 to 13 minute games in their previous matchup off stream. Sans?
Gonna be caught, doesn't have the flicker, and will be taken down. Sans with the signature overextension as well, right as they get the Lord. And it will be Sans who gets taken out here. Albert picks up a BOD, 12-0-4.
Jeez. That's also just war cry. Like, I don't know. Are you sold on the war cry now? Like, do you think it's a pretty good emblem to pick up here?
Yeah, I've got to say that the war cry is really good, especially considering, on the Ling, when you use the Tempest of Blades. Even before that, I think, just when you use the Finch Poise and then Divine Blades into the front, you already get the proc. So it's very easy on Ling.
Oh, man.
Sans,
3 members. SPA, 3 members having the Sky Piercer. Even Sans wants a part of this, and so they're going to deal with that. This is very tough for Vietnam, not only being down nearly 13,000 gold, now working against the SPA, the Sky Pierce abuse. And so Lord makes its way top side. Vietnam on the defense. Indonesia looks to go in with conceal.
Penalty zone, locking 2 members down. Keyboy still holding on to that wild charge right now. Sans is able to pop the wings by wings. The Divine Judgment, the lock loop down to the back line right now. That's going to be the base turret taken out. Indonesia still going for this fight. With the slam and the pass combo to the front. And Joe will be able to get the taunt down onto Albert, but now is very, very low. Will still be able to escape with the split as Vietnam get rid of the Lord. But now another wave comes into that mid lane with the bottom lane as well. It seems for Indonesia, they'll just have to be satisfied with 1 base turret.
That's all they get. I'm actually surprised that is all they get in the exchange, given how far ahead Indonesia is right now, and even with the 3 Sky Piercers. But I think it's also just a form of discipline that they're showing for Indonesia right now. With the lead that they have, they probably could have punched it in even further. Hold on. Wild charge.
W with the winner crown actually gets up to Divine Judgment. The Torpor Memory takes him out with the help of the Feather Airstrike. Now as Albert goes in towards the back, is very, very low. Needs to be careful. Goes out, escapes. Joe goes in, and that's going to be the double kill secured by Sans. As now it's going to be Hehe running away with the split. Another chase down up top with the Finch Poison. Albert will be able to get rid of Joe up top. Now another 1v1 as it's going to be Yandere who tries his best to take Albert down, but he's a bit too slippery. Still with the Finch Poise escaping. Another Feather Airstrike onto Yandere. One last shot should do it with the Sky Piercer, but he's unable to get that final hit. Still, Hehe and Yandere trying to go against the defense of 5 members sieging down their base. Albert will just dash towards the back, go for it right now, and they're gonna go for a few more kills, a few more hits onto the Vietnam members before they ultimately secure game number 1.
Who does